Hi, family. I'd like to talk about fear versus faith. In these uncertain times in which we are living in, when things seem to be changing day to day, not knowing what the next day's news may bring, I'm aware this may be causing fear in many of us. I'm reminded of the story in Mark chapter 4 that many of us are familiar with, when Jesus calms the storm. We are living in a perfect storm in a sense, not only nationally, but also globally. And I believe we need to be reminded and encouraged that Jesus is with us in the storm. Let me read the account found in verses 35 through 41 of Mark chapter 4, which says, "As evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, 'Let's cross to the other side of the lake.' So they took Jesus in the boat and started out, leaving the crowds behind. But soon a fierce storm came up. High waves were breaking into the boat, and it began to fill with water. Jesus was sleeping at the back of the boat with his head on a cushion. The disciples woke him up, shouting, 'Teacher, don't you care that we are going to drown?' When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, 'Silence, be still.' Suddenly the wind stopped, and there was a great calm. Then he asked them, 'Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?' The disciples were absolutely terrified. 'Who is this man?' they asked each other. 'Even the wind and waves obey him.'" For some of us, maybe many of us, this storm we are facing that seemed to just come up overnight has brought about fear. In the same way that it did with Jesus' disciples when they saw the high waves breaking into the boat and it began to fill with water. Maybe we are fearful of our loved ones getting the coronavirus. Maybe we are fearful of losing our jobs. Maybe we are fearful of not paying our bills and putting food on the table. Maybe we are fearful of a nationwide quarantine and markets being closed down. Fear is connected to faith or a lack thereof. We are fearful because we, like the disciples, believe Jesus is asleep at the wheel, or in this account, asleep in the boat. We may be tempted to say, "Teacher, don't you care that we are going to drown? Don't you care that I may lose my job? Don't you care that I might not be able to pay my bills?" Jesus would say to us, as he said to his disciples, "Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?" In the storms of life, we need to operate in faith, not in fear. Jesus said, "Why are you afraid?" Jesus is bigger than the storms of life. Jesus is sovereign, in total control of the storms of life. Jesus rebuked the wind and he said to the waves, "Silence, be still." Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still and know that he is God in the midst of this storm. When you believe this truth by faith, you will be overwhelmed by a great calm, his peace. Just like we read in this story, suddenly the wind stopped and there was a great calm. During this current storm that we are in, I want to encourage us to walk in faith, not in fear, and be reminded and encouraged by the truth of who Jesus is. In the same way, the disciples experienced this truth and said, "Who is this man?" They asked each other. "Even the wind and waves obey him." So, my friends, have faith in the one whom the wind and waves obey.